What's up? This is your boy Terrence Williams at TW Talking About on Twitter, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out to my man Brian H. and say congratulations on the 1 year anniversary of Break It Down with Brian H. The show's been excellent, brother, just like everything that you do. I listen to the show every week, and even, when we have disagreements, I still enjoy hearing your opinions because you put them together in a thoughtful and entertaining way. You keep the conversation going on social media, and you also give us little extras like Wrestling for the Culture and the pre and post shows that you do. Yeah, man, you're doing a great job. The show's great, and I look forward to coming on the show sometime. You know what I'm saying? Holla at your boy. Yeah, man, but seriously, though, to Brian, to the Wrestling Realm, and to everybody who enjoys your work, man, congratulations on the show anniversary, and cheers to another year and many, many more years of Break It Down with Brian H.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 1 year anniversary edition of Break It Down with Brian H. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. Thank you. It's been a wonderful year. Oh man, what can I say? Before I get into it, gotta give a thank you for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to do no shows. Then I gotta give a shout out to my boy Terrence, as you heard him at the top of the show. Terrence, appreciate you, brother. Love you, man. We worked together for a little over a year. I think it was close to a year. Both of us realized we both love wrestling, and to be honest with you, we really didn't work in the same capacity. We was actually introduced by one of our former managers who said I had transitioned out of that department into another, as we was in a company where they rotated us, but she said, hey, you need to meet Terrence because he likes wrestling just as much as you do. And right there, a brotherhood was born. Each and every week, like he said there, he listens to the show, and I appreciate that. To be from the beginning and to continue now for him, people like the Shark, Glenn, Carlos, all my peoples out there. Shout out to my boy Kenny. I met him through my brother Hugh. Hugh told me that. He's like, yeah, man, Kenny, he always listens to your show. I walk past and I hear him listen to the show, and he don't really comment too much, but I know he's out there listening, so I appreciate that. And there's quite a lot of people, I could go on and on, who listen to the show, but I really appreciate it. From Twitter, from Instagram, from Facebook, all you out there who take time out of your busy week, or whether you're listening in the cars, listening while you're at home, getting ready for school, getting ready for work, whenever. I really appreciate that. Then I gotta give, of course, a huge shout out to my brother, the real Dwayne Allen, as you can see it right there over my shoulder on the poster. Obviously, from the critiques, before I said, hey man, I want to do this show, he listened to the pilot episode that will never air, but that's what it was a test. And always being right there, always being supportive. Anytime I say, hey man, big news, we want to jump on the show, he's on it. And guess what, folks, basketball season is up, so get ready, because he's coming back. Yes, the Wrestling Realm is returning very soon. Pre-production is in progress, so I know you'll be happy because you'll get a double dose of the tag team champions. So like I said, shout out to him. Shout out to each and everybody who's been a guest on this show. It's been a year and we're just having fun. We're just getting started, folks. So, man, well, what can I say? I know I was going to do a show last week, but brother, I'm a communications specialist, and part of being a communications specialist, sometimes you got to hit the road. And that's what I had to do a week ago. I had to hit the road, went to Las Vegas, the home of WrestleMania 9. I know it's a WrestleMania that a lot of people do not like, but it is one of my favorites. It is a childhood staple of mine. And I've got into a couple, not into it as per se, but had a nice friendly debate with a couple brothers on Twitter. Shout out to them listening. We talked about it and talked about the, WrestleMania 9 had to let it be known that the views and opinions does not represent the wrestling realm. It's just Brian H. Waters, because the real Dwayne Allen hates WrestleMania 9 the same way everybody else does. But shout out to my boy Dre from the Flex Zone who loves it just. Oh, shout out to D. D always, another one, always listening. D will text me 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, man, you made a good point here. Or, how about you think about it this way? So shout out to him. He was a guest on here as well. Oh man, and like I said, there's so many people out there for the over, the thousands and thousands in attendance and the thousands listening, who took time out over this course of the year. Thank you. So like I said, I was in Vegas last week. I didn't get a chance. I had the equipment, but I was working, man. I was tired, Yeah, you think Vegas is partying? Not at all. Not for me, at least. I ate some good food, though. So, but a lot is going on. So, you know what? We got to get right into it. You feel me? It's going to be a different show. It's going to be, I ain't gonna say sort of quick, but it's not good. No top rope this week. Definitely got tapped out, but it's no top rope, no from the realm, and then wrestling for the culture does return. I know I was gonna have it all mixed in, but it's just so much going on. Even just to get this show going on tonight, the taping on tonight, is just so much going on. So wrestling for the culture will return this Sunday. After I have a photo shoot. Oh, by the way, shout out to my boy Brandon Ryan Harley. Just got married this past week, as I was honored and privileged to be the photographer for his wedding. Yes, I do photos, folks. I was honored and privileged to be the photographer for his wedding as he married his lovely wife, Sierra. I got to see my goddaughters. So congratulations to them on getting married. It's fun fact. First time I met his wife, we were watching WrestleMania 29 at Loafers. So, let's get started. Folks, Kofi Kingston, Vince McMahon, what's the deal? All right. So, last time I was here, we was getting ready for Fastlane. And, I didn't have the Fastlane post show because it was the same day as my annual concert. And because of that, I was just tired when I got home. So we know Kofi was thrown into the match, kind of catch up on some things. He was told he was going to be in a match, but instead he wasn't. He was in a triple threat match with the Bar, which he lost. And then next thing you know, him and Vince, they had this battle. And so this past week, Tuesday, Kofi had to go through a gauntlet match. And he beat everybody. Samoa Joe. He beat... and I'm not in order. He beat the Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro. He beat Randy Orton to finish off. But, he also beat Rowan. And he finally, yes, Kofi Kingston's going to WrestleMania. Then the music hit. No chance in hell. And you knew what was coming in, folks. Vinnie Mac said, you're not done yet. And it didn't feel like New Year's Revolution where he did that with John Cena, told them to raise the cage and Edge cashed in. So, Vinnie Mac comes out there. Next thing you know, he tells Kofi, look, you got one more match, buddy. And Kofi had to face Daniel Bryan, which he lost. So, those of you watching on YouTube, you can see clearly I'm a black male. Folks, that is what it's like to be a black man in corporate America. For some people. For a lot of people. This is we saw this guy do everything he had to do, and one of the things we could see was the passion that Kofi Kingston had. The passion. What else do I gotta do, Vince? What else do I gotta do? That's what he said last week, and Vince told him to run this gauntlet. He did it, and then all of a sudden he throws Daniel Bryan in the mix, and then Kofi loses after a close effort. Folks, all I know is at the end of the day, was it April 7th? Kofi Kingston better walk out as WWE champion. I'm not going to be the one to say I'm going to boycott the company. It's just not what I do. Excuse me. But Kofi Kingston better become the WWE champion. Man, I mean, we saw this. People are comparing this to Booker T, and for the longest time, I was upset about that. But I might have said this before. My brother Corey from the Wrestling Marks to Excellence brought up a good point. Where would you have gone with Booker T? Clearly, there was, Triple H was the man at the time, as much as we might not want to admit it. Now, what I will say is they shouldn't have went as far as what the angle as possible. Don't bring the racial undertones in there. Don't tell him people like you hold bags for people like me if you're not going to capitalize and let us get that moment. And that's what I'm kind of nervous about. There was never a time, but I have to say this. They had me hooked. I watched this, and I'm like, man, I was really, chest was beating. And I said, this is what wrestling's about. It hasn't done that in a while. Well, it's in certain cases, but I remember that feeling when I was pushing for Daniel Bryan to beat Triple H at WrestleMania 30. That's how I'm going to be feeling in a few weeks. I know I'm going to get that feeling when Kofi is going against Daniel Bryan. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it as I get ready to transition to the next part, folks. These guys, man, Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan look like this match should close WrestleMania. And you may say, what? Hear me out. I know we've been all about the women. Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Ronda Rousey. It's losing steam. It's not as hot as it was. It's not, because maybe that dragged on too long. Maybe we shouldn't have had Becky go through all of those obstacle courses. Or maybe it should just be Becky and Ronda. Maybe it should have been just Becky and Charlotte. Whatever. Right now, the whole SmackDown locker room is pulling behind Kofi Kingston. We saw Kevin Owens say, usually I say KO Mania, but this year this is Kofi Mania. We saw AJ Styles talk about Kofi Kingston. We saw the Usos. They've had their battles with him. We know about the Usos and the New Day, the type of rivalry that is. We saw the locker room rallying behind Kofi during the gauntlet match. That is why I feel Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan should close WrestleMania. Let's move on. I talked about the women. We saw at Fastlane, we saw Charlotte take on Becky Lynch for the millionth time. Becky Lynch won because Ronda Rousey got involved. And because she got involved, she would go ahead and cost Charlotte the match. That put Becky put her in a triple threat match. Got what she wanted. And then, they went to beat up each other. But Ronda recently has been going on the internet, having all these rants and raves about she do what she want to do and wrestling isn't real and all this stuff. See, I don't like stuff like that. Nah. I don't like when people say it's not real. I don't like when people use the F word. People tell you, I'll tell you in a minute, I hate that. Do not call this sport fake. Call it predetermined all you want. Don't call it fake. Because those people out there, it's not fake what they do. And I understand that's her gimmick. But then we saw this past week, Dana Brooke decided she was going to step up to the plate. And she was going to do it for the locker room. And she got beat very fast, unfortunately. The title was on the line, but Ronda beat her like that. And, it looked like that looked scary where she had her arm in an arm bar. Looked like she was about to break it. And then the security guards, because Ronda took out the security last week and they came out again. Next thing you know, she knocked one of them down. And her husband tried to put his nose and 2 cents in. Next thing he knocks one of them down. All right. It's cool. Not feeling it. And this is from a kayfabe. I'm all out of Ronda Rousey. I'll be glad when she loses. I'm rooting for Becky Lynch. Hell, I'll even be happy if Charlotte wins the title. Just get the title off Rousey. Like I said, she's doing her job. She's a heel. Because right now, I can't stand her. But Becky and Charlotte got their own problems. They just can't seem to have enough of each other, and they're beefing on SmackDown. So I guess Ronda has limited dates. Well, I guess it wouldn't make any sense for her to go there because she's not a SmackDown Women's Champion. And I thought Becky and Charlotte were kind of on Raw now, but they beef with each other on SmackDown. I don't know. I mean, that's a spot really that could be for Asuka and whoever her opponents. I know there's talks about her facing Mandy Rose or Sonya Deville. I kind of jump out of the dirt sheets, and this time it's WrestleMania season. But that would be interesting. I enjoyed the match between Asuka and Mandy Rose. Was it a 5-star match? Absolutely not. But I enjoyed the story. And then Mandy Rose was cost the title cost the match because of Sonya Deville mistake with the apron. Then they redid it, vice versa. So, but I thought Mandy was going to be done with her, but who knows? Maybe there's a triple threat match happening. I could see them doing a multi-women match because right now there's nothing for Asuka, and that's what I want to know. Who is ready for Asuka?
Hey, this is Demar's Dive from the Dive Sporting Network and D from the Flex Zone. Check out both the Dive Sporting Network and the Flex Zone on all the major social media platforms. And of course, check out my main man, breaking it down every week. Break It Down with Brian H. Waters. Back to you, Brian.
And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. So, the Harlem Heat, they are going to the WWE Hall of Fame. That was announced last week, so of course I had to talk about it. Congratulations to them. I'm surprised. I ain't gonna lie. I'm surprised. They do have a rightful place in tag team history. You cannot tell the history of tag team wrestling without the Harlem Heat. However, I just didn't think they would be in there. I mean, Booker's already in the Hall of Fame, but now he is a two-time WWE Hall of Famer. And when you think about this, right, you got Booker T, who's going to be a two-time WWE Hall of Famer, and while he was a world champion, he was never a WWE champion. And I talked about that a few weeks ago. People who I think should deserve that honor, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, Bret Hart. Those are two-time Hall of Famers to me. But I have to admit, I didn't think about Booker T, but this makes total sense. Now, when they do these, and I think the reason why I like it, because one, he went in as an individual, which he should have, but coming in as a tag team, it just goes to show, and it's enough distance. It wasn't like back to back. There was enough distance where you really can still tell the history of just that tag team alone, as opposed to saying, oh yeah, it was a tag team, but then we'll talk about Booker T's singles careers. Obviously the speech will be more Stevie Ray based. I would like to see the way they dress, But I think, like I said, I'm really happy about this. It's definitely one of the teams I used to love to hate when I was growing up because most of the time they were heels. So I tend to root against them. But, I love the fact that Booker was able to keep the music and especially bring it to WWE. That music is iconic from my childhood and my teenage years just because Booker T had it. So, yeah, I'm very excited about them. I want to see where else they go. I know they announced a lady who's going to get the Warrior Legacy Award. It's going to be a backstage. It's the idea of what the Ultimate Warrior wanted for the award. He wanted to be somebody who worked in the company but did not get a lot of the shine out front, the people that we don't see. And so they're giving it to a lady. Forgive me, I don't have her name. I don't want to, but they're giving it to a lady who deserves that honor. So congratulations to her. That might round things out this year. I look forward to the Hall of Fame each and every year, especially just due to the fact that you get to see all these wrestlers. Maybe they got Tori Wilson. But, you get to see all these wrestlers come in and just talk about things. So I'm looking forward to it. Man, have you guys been paying attention to Drew McIntyre? I know Seth Rollins is the guy. I know Seth Rollins is the one who's slated to take on Brock Lesnar. But man, I don't know. Drew McIntyre's coming. This is a guy I'm looking at like, yeah, he should be the WWE. He should be the number one contender. Just quite frankly, because he's out there doing his thing each and every week. And I'm like, who else do you put in that position? Like, seriously, who else do you put in that position? He's going to face Roman Reigns, so that's a big deal for him. Huge match. If you're not in the championship match, you want to be in there with a top guy. First of all, the card for WrestleMania is stacked. You have Shane McMahon and The Miz. That'll probably open the show. That's a personal beef right there. You have AJ Styles and Randy Orton. That's a WrestleMania match. I mean, you're taking the Golden Goose from TNA and the Golden Goose from the WWE. You got Randy Orton being there, AJ Styles saying this is a guy who has WWE written all over him while he was climbing up the ranks. You got Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch, Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan. Even though it's not official yet, we know what's going to happen. Come on now. Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. And then you got... right now I think it's official. We're going to have the Natalya and Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix coming out of retirement to take on Sasha Banks and Bayley. Rey Mysterio versus the new United States champion Samoa Joe. You got a lot of good matches this year at WrestleMania, folks. But Drew McIntyre comes out there, telling Paul Heyman, like, look, I'm going to destroy Seth Rollins, and you need to think about a new opponent for him. He already beat up Ambrose. He beat up Roman Reigns. And then he would beat Seth Rollins after Rollins was distracted. But he is making a case that if somehow, some way Rollins can take that title from Brock Lesnar, he is making a case to be the next in line for the WWE Universal Championship. Only time will tell, folks. I'm looking forward to it. So let's move on. It's time for the Tapped Out this week.
Here's our Tapped Out segment of the week.
So, the Tapped Out this week, folks. If you're on YouTube, you see Kurt Angle on the screen, and you may be wondering, why is Kurt Angle in the Tapped Out? After all, he made Chad Gable tap out. He selected his WrestleMania opponent, and his opponent is none other than Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin, folks. Why? You built this up. You said Kurt Angle will reveal who will be his final opponent in his farewell match. The last match. We waited 2 years ago. He came back home, got back in the ring around November for the Survivor Series, and then we got some matches. Last year we saw him wrestle team with Ronda Rousey go against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. But now, Kurt Angle's final match is going to be against Corbin Boring himself, Baron Corbin. What's up with that? Definitely the Tapped Out this week. Not looking forward to it. I just don't get it. Like, why? I understand the story, but why? Couldn't they just they should have had a match at Fastlane. When they said that cue to Soulja Boy, Corbin? You talking about Baron Corbin? The same guy who talked about Roman Reigns when Roman Reigns was out, Baron Corbin? The same guy who wore a vest and slacks instead of in wrestling gear? The same guy whose hairline was receded and he finally decided to get it cut? The same guy who stood up to the guy against concussions and got some heat? Corbin? So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that at all. But let's see how it plays out. So I mentioned earlier, Sasha Banks and Bayley, they came out. They've been on their tour as they're the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. They've been on Raw. They went to NXT. Then they, back on Raw again. They had the belts. They got the matching gear. And suddenly, Natalya came out there with Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix said, I want to come out of retirement and challenge for those titles. I think that's pretty cool. Beth Phoenix, she looks like she could still go. She looks like she belongs there. I wouldn't be upset to see her and Natalya get a run. I love the back and forth trading that they did, the jabs they took at each other, especially when I think it was Sasha Banks said to Natalya, "Oh, you just using Beth so you can finally get a WrestleMania match." Woo! When's the last time Natalya had a WrestleMania match that was a singles match? You know, I mean, my matches that should have happened was Natalya versus Beth Phoenix at WrestleMania 28, but we didn't get it. So, but these two ladies went on to take on the Iconics, Sasha and Bayley, that is. They want to take on the Iconics on SmackDown Live. This should have been the WrestleMania match. Let's be real. This, you could have did so much with this. Come on. But they would fall to the two as the Iconics did what they do. They double teamed Sasha and got the pin. You see it right there on your screen. They got the victory. So congratulations to them. Moving on. Miz and Shane McMahon. Yeah, when I was gone, man, it was, you know, I was actually at my concert, and it was right before my group was about to come on the floor. Shane McMahon had just attacked The Miz after they lost to the Usos. So they are no longer Team Bestie, as Shane McMahon says he is the best in the world, and he reminds The Miz of that. And now these two will face each other at WrestleMania. I am really looking forward to this. Can it get any more personal than this? And then we also, yes we can, because we got Randy Orton taking on AJ Styles. So leading up to WrestleMania 33, we saw a lot of these matches between these two gentlemen, as AJ Styles was the heel and Randy was he was just Randy Orton. But as Randy Orton was en route to winning the WWE Championship, which he would win at WrestleMania 33, he had to go through AJ Styles and beat him in a number one contendership match. So, but these two now, you know, it's a personal beef. And one of the things I like what Randy said, no wonder you're not WWE. It took you so long to get to the WWE. If you're pushing for another man to become champion, as AJ Styles was showing his support for Kofi Kingston. So that was certainly interesting. And then we have Alexa Bliss, folks, hosting this year's WrestleMania. So can it get any better than that? I love the fact that they got her in a prominent role. Her and Carmella, they had their runs as champions. They're doing something different. Still being utilized, still being on TV. You got Carmella with R-Truth, and now she's, you know, dancing. It just seems natural for her. I mean, how long was she going to be Mella is money after she lost the WWE SmackDown Live Women's Championship? Alexa Bliss, you know, obviously I believe she may be nursing an injury or healing, but nonetheless, seeing her on Raw every week and seeing her able to go out there and just do what she do, and that's use the microphone. So I think that's great. So, but folks, I'm gonna wrap it up. As I said at the top of the show, thank you so much for joining me on this episode and for this year, for this run. It's been incredible. There's been nights and times and days I feel like, man, I don't feel like doing this, but you people keep me going because of your ever so support, whether it's a retweet, a like, a share, a favorite, just listening. I've been able to connect with many podcasts out there, so that's been a blessing. If you want to be a guest on the show, feel free. I'm definitely gonna crank it up this year. I'm going to have more guests. So let me know. You can go ahead, DM me on Twitter at Brian H. Waters or DM at Wrestling Wrealm. Let me know. I'm definitely open to have guests. We're gonna keep it respectful. We're gonna have good, healthy wrestling conversation, because that's what I like to do. People tell you, you know, I love wrestling, I love talking about it. That's why I have my own show. So, folks, before you go, make sure you are following the Wrestling Wrealm on all podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, you name it, we are there. Yes, we are on Stitcher as well. And make sure you're following us on social media at Wrestling Wrealm. Just search it. By now, you hit Wrestling Wrealm in Google, you'll find everything you need to find. So, till the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. So long, everybody.